544-0808. PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the star of our program, Fred Dreyer.
What we have now is a backlash of pro football, and
it is a backlash.
And here's what's happening.
What's going on?
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. Then we're going to move on.
Break it down.
Professional football is now only in existence to satisfy and to feed fantasy football and video games.
I agree with you. The penalties that they call, some guy touches a guy's helmet and it's like he's got a head injury or whatever. They got all these new rules.
The game
has changed.
The game has been engineered away from the great sport that I knew. I don't recognize the sport when I watch it.
Seriously, you a former player?
I don't recognize it. I don't recognize it because of the stupidity of the rules. What they've done defensively, so people understand this, is that they have taken away the ability to play press defense with cornerbacks or anybody else. But cornerbacks, guys that can cover, are very rare in the sport. So what teams would do is, like Oakland and like all the other great passing teams and all the great defenses, would get a cornerback or two and put them right up nose to nose on the receivers on each side of the ball and press them and hang on them. And what it would do is it would take away the immediate windows that they're talking about now. Remember, they talk about this is the window he has to go. You know, the jargon. It's like politics. You know, the jargon. The inside the 20 now is the red zone, and all of this other jargon that is destroying the sport and keeping people away from really understanding what they're looking at. My contention is, and I see it every Sunday. My contention is that the sport is not only been bastardized on the field, but the jackasses who have been paid, the color commentators, to show you the sport, to tell you why things are happening, does not exist anymore.
Because why is that? The NFL is one of the greatest brand names in the history of this country. NFL is branded. You listen to NFL, you got football. Look at what they did with the XFL. They just bought it up, got it out. Hey, that was a good idea with that camera in the middle of the field. Let's keep that. And the NFL is a marketing machine. And so you're right. They've got the color commentators in their pocket to tell you the game the way they want it told.
Yes, they are beyond educating the audience. They no longer tell you why. If you ask a child, they're growing up, you show them the world, explain something to them, they'll always ask why, why. And the audience today wants to know why things are happening, and they're not being shown why things are happening. The actual on-the-field production, the producer, along with the color commentator. I had that job for a year in 1981.
You did have that? I didn't realize. I forgot
about
that.
I did it for CBS.
Wow.
And the idea is to figure out what each team is doing, what the story of each team is, what the matchup is, where they're going to go, follow it up by a couple of interviews with the coaches and a couple of players. There's a storyline that the color commentator now has to say to the people who are watching. This is what the matchup is. This is the reason that St. Louis is got a big problem today against Oakland. Right? And here's why.
Here's why they have that big problem.
Now, if they've solved the problem, that's a great story, you know. That's
So who let the dogs out in the studio again?
Yeah, what the heck is this? I
Close
think
them down,
your machine is on.
Thank you.
What happens is that you have to be able to show the audience why things happened or it didn't happen. So it's a story either way, right? So that's been lost. That's been lost. And they just sit there and yap, Aikman and all these guys who are great players and well deserving of getting the recognition as an expert. But they don't understand storytelling, and they don't understand what their job description is.
Key point, good.
They don't understand what the job description is, and therefore they can't articulate by using instant replays the correct way. Instant replays are to help the audience understand why it happened according to your storyline.
Wasn't Madden one of the last good guys because he had the telestrator so he could kind of show you why things happen?
Yeah.
He would explain it to you.
Yeah, and then later on, Madden went away from that and became more cosmetic.
Got it.
And he stopped being teacherly.
Right.
You know? And there is a fine line between being pedantic with all information. But this is a visual medium, but it's also a great sport if you educate the audience, and so they don't do that anymore. So when Pittsburgh showed up, I bet Pittsburgh because I believe what they would do is take all the windows away, and by that time they would have sacked him.
Yeah, they would have sacked Tebow. They would have come in there and
but they
said
didn't
the
do
message.
that. They didn't do that.
No, not at all.
And Big Ben. Big Ben
Roethlisberger.
He failed miserably. The coach left him in there way too long. They should have put Batch in there. Ben should have just said, "Hey, I can't do it," because it's clear he can't do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pull him out and just put the guy in there and say, "Look, we're going with this guy. We're going to change our offense a little bit, and we're not going to. We got to control the ball and move it down the field." And they didn't do that, and it was a terribly the game plan from Pittsburgh was dreadful offensively and defensively and in execution wise.
Game plan itself was bad. I've heard that many times from many people with knowledge like yourself.
Yeah,
they said the game plan was terrible.
It was absolutely terrible. It was incompetent actually, and so Tebow had time and chance again, and he's a good athlete, and he really deserved the win.
And the rules have changed in the playoffs now. If you get the ball in overtime and you go downfield and you kick, then the other team gets a field goal. The other team gets a chance then to kick.
It's government football.
But if you throw a pass and you score first off, then the game is over.
No, it's completely liberalized. It's government football. It is liberal, progressive football, and everything has been made fair. The only place in America where you can go and have any room to stand nowadays is in sports, because you can't lie about who can play, who can't play. You can't lie about who made a touchdown, who didn't, who made the tackle, who didn't make the tackle, who can slam dunk, who can't. All of these things all of these things are factual and right in front of you. They're empirical and sometimes scientific, and they want to use instant replays time and time again to do what? To convince you that the guy did not score. That's the purpose now of
did he have possession all the way down?
The ball hit. Now the ball touched the ground. So what? It didn't make him catch the ball or keep control of it.
Right.
It touches the ground. Therefore, it's not a touchdown. But what you wind up getting here, folks, and we're droning on. And I promise when we come back, we'll get off of this.
We're fine. This is good information. We're getting education.
But what happens is that you're now going to see a playoff series now with you got 4 teams left, right?
Right.
And you're going to see some real good football. Keep an eye on the instant replays, and remember, the game is won and lost at the line of scrimmage. That's where you break your opponent's will. If you can't break your opponent's will, you shouldn't get off the bus. And if you can't break your opponent's will, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. These teams that are in the playoff have the ability to break their opponent's will at the line of scrimmage. And that includes Denver at New England. So keep that in mind as you go forward and watch this, and bet wisely. And just remember one thing: when you want to know something, let me know.
Call us here, because we're flying high and we can tell you the answers to these questions.
Well, there's answers to everything, and what you're going to wind up seeing now is a real interesting go at it here on these playoffs. So don't go away. We'll be right back.